Ever been told you're weird for the way you think, talk, or act? What if the habits that make you look strange are actually proof of higher intelligence? Stay till the end, because habit number 7 will make you rethink what lazy really means. You probably have habits that other people don't understand. Maybe you talk to yourself out loud when working through a problem. Maybe you'd rather spend a quiet evening alone while everyone else craves company. Or maybe you ask questions that make people shift uncomfortably, questions most never even think to ask. And somewhere along the way, someone has likely told you that you overthink, that you're too intense, or that you should try to be more normal. But here's what nobody ever told you. Those weird habits aren't signs that something is wrong with you. They're signs that something extraordinary is happening inside you. They often reveal a mind that operates on a deeper level, more reflective, more self-aware, and more sophisticated than the surface-level behavior society calls normal. The ancient Stoics knew this truth long before science confirmed it. Marcus Aurelius spent hours alone in quiet reflection while others gathered to gossip. Epictetus questioned everything the world simply accepted. Seneca withdrew from noise and distraction so he could think clearly and deeply. To the people around them, their habits looked odd, even antisocial. But those very behaviors were what made them wise beyond their time. So today, I'll share 10 weird habits that are actually signs of high intelligence, not flaws to hide, but powerful markers of deep mental processing that deserve recognition, not judgment. And when we reach habit number 7, you'll see how one behavior people call lazy is actually a form of strategic thinking and the brain conserving energy to solve problems efficiently. If you've ever felt different and wondered whether your way of thinking is broken, it's not. It's brilliant. So hit that subscribe button and let's explore the hidden patterns that reveal just how powerful your mind really is. Now let's begin. The first habit most people judge harshly is talking to yourself out loud. When someone catches you doing this, they might look at you like you've lost it, whispering to yourself, debating out loud, or walking in circles while muttering ideas. But here's the truth. You're not crazy. You're engaging in external cognitive processing. When you speak your thoughts, you activate multiple parts of the brain at once. Hearing yourself triggers auditory processing. Forming words lights up linguistic centers. Together, they create a powerful synergy that catches errors, clarifies ideas, and helps you solve problems faster than silent thinking ever could. You're not talking to yourself because you can't think quietly. You're optimizing how your brain works. You're building a feedback loop between thought and sound, allowing your mind to see ideas in real time. Marcus Aurelius did this too. His meditations were literally conversations with himself, thoughts made visible on paper, helping him untangle emotion from logic. That's exactly what you do when you speak your thoughts aloud. You externalize chaos to find clarity. I once knew a software engineer who debugged code by narrating every line aloud. At first, his coworkers thought it was strange, until they realized he was solving problems twice as fast as anyone else. By verbalizing logic, he spotted inconsistencies that silent thinkers missed entirely. Talking to yourself isn't a quirk. It's a method, an advanced form of mental optimization most people never experience, simply because they're too afraid of looking strange. You're not strange for talking to yourself. You're simply doing what great thinkers have always done, turning your thoughts into sound, so your mind can finally hear the truth. You see, when you talk to yourself out loud, you're not acting strange. You're using your brain the way it was designed to work best. And that same principle applies to the next habit, one that most people misinterpret completely. Habit 2. Preferring solitude over constant socializing. You often choose to stay home when everyone else is out drinking. laughing and posting their nights online. You skip crowded gatherings not because you're bitter or shy, but because you crave stillness, that rare silence where your mind can finally breathe. You need hours, sometimes entire days, alone just to feel recharged again. But the world doesn't see it that way. People call you antisocial, cold, or distant. They tell you you're missing out on life, as if true living only happens in noisy rooms filled with small talk. What they fail to see is this: you're not avoiding people. You're protecting your energy. You don't withdraw because you dislike others. You withdraw because your mind requires uninterrupted time for deep processing. You can't reach insight while juggling endless conversation. The mind that seeks depth needs stillness, the way a lens needs focus before it can capture clarity. For people who think deeply, constant socializing isn't fun. It's draining, not because they're weak, awkward, or incapable of connection, but because their brain runs complex processes that demand silence and space. Small talk consumes energy without offering meaning in return. It's like spending hours in shallow water when what your soul longs for is the calm pressure of the deep sea. You're not antisocial. You're intentional. You're choosing to invest your mental energy in depth rather than scatter it across hundreds of shallow exchanges. Seneca wrote powerfully about this. He believed solitude wasn't an escape from life, but the forge where wisdom is made. He knew that to think clearly, one must step back from the crowd. Reflection doesn't bloom in noise, it thrives in silence. The Stoics didn't isolate themselves because they disliked humanity. They chose solitude strategically, because no meaningful thought can survive constant distraction. I once knew a writer who turned down most social invitations. Friends used to take it personally, until they realized her best work was born from those quiet hours alone. Her solitude wasn't rejection, it was preservation, a way to protect the sacred space where ideas take shape. While others filled every evening with plans and chatter, she spent her nights crafting words that made people feel. Her trade-off was deliberate: depth over breadth, quality over quantity, meaning over noise. What looks like distance from the outside is actually devotion, a strategic allocation of limited mental energy toward what truly matters. You are not antisocial for needing solitude. You are defending the space your mind needs to perform at its highest level, because solitude isn't emptiness. It's the soil where your deepest thoughts grow. And when that space is protected, your inner world becomes alive, rich and full of insight. Now, this brings us to the next sign of deep intelligence, the habit that reveals how your mind refuses to settle for surface explanations. Habit 3. Asking why. When everyone else accepts things as they are, you question them. Why do we do it this way? Why does this rule exist? Why is this considered normal? And that single word, why, often annoys people. They tell you you're being difficult, that you're overthinking, that you should just go with the flow. But you can't. You won't, because your brain refuses to operate on autopilot. You don't accept information blindly. You dissect it. You need to understand before you agree. This isn't stubbornness. It's curiosity fused with critical thinking. Most people accept things simply because that's how it's always been done. But your mind, the questioning mind, was never built to follow without understanding. It was built to explore, to seek truth where others settle for comfort. That constant questioning, that need to understand before accepting, isn't rebellion. It's awareness. It's your mind refusing to run on default settings. You have to understand the reasoning before you can truly accept it. And that, right there, is what drives innovation. Because when you question the familiar, you begin to notice what everyone else has stopped seeing. Inefficiencies, outdated methods, patterns that no longer make sense. You are not being difficult. You are simply refusing to let your brain coast in autopilot mode. Epictetus and the Stoics lived by this principle. They constantly practiced what's known as the Socratic method, asking question after question, not to challenge or provoke, but to reach understanding, to find truth. They knew that blind acceptance leads to living by someone else's thinking instead of your own. And in a world that rewards conformity, asking why is how you protect independent thought. I remember hearing about someone at a company who kept asking why a certain process required 5 separate steps, when 2 clearly would have worked. Coworkers rolled their eyes. Managers thought this person was being disruptive or trying to challenge authority. But when they finally decided to examine the process, they discovered that 3 of those steps were remnants from an old system no one used anymore. By removing them, the company saved hours of work every single week. That one annoying question, the one everyone dismissed, exposed waste that years of blind conformity had hidden. What looked like being difficult was, in truth, the rare act of thinking while everyone else was just following. So no, you're not difficult for asking why. You're engaging your brain while others are running on autopilot. And if you've ever been called stubborn, complicated, or exhausting for asking questions, type, "I question to understand" below. Because your refusal to stop thinking might be exactly what inspires someone else who's been told to just go with the flow. Questioning isn't defiance. It's mental wakefulness. It means your mind is alive, analyzing, connecting, seeking clarity, and that same active thinking shows up again in the next habit, one that's often misunderstood, even criticized. Habit 4. Being easily bored by small talk. You know that feeling. Standing in a circle, drink in hand, smiling politely while people talk about the weather, traffic, or weekend plans. You nod, you respond, you play along. But inside, you're running out of patience. Every word feels like noise without substance. People notice your quietness and assume the worst. They think you're arrogant, that you believe you're too good for normal conversation, or that you just can't connect with everyday people. But here's the truth. Your brain craves depth. It doesn't light up for surface-level chatter. It needs meaningful input to stay engaged. Small talk is information light. It demands social energy, but gives back almost no intellectual reward. For minds wired to recognize patterns and process complexity, small talk feels like revving an engine in neutral, energy spent, but going nowhere. That's not arrogance. It's a sign of a brain that needs depth to fully engage. Surface conversation simply doesn't reach the level where your thoughts awaken. Sure, you can do small talk when you have to, but it drains you. Because you're forcing connection without stimulation, effort without meaning. Even Marcus Aurelius felt this way. He found the idle chatter of the royal court tiresome. He preferred real dialogue, conversations about philosophy, justice, leadership, and the inner life of the human spirit. Not because he looked down on others, but because his mind hungered for ideas that required thinking. The Stoics understood the difference between talking and communicating, between words that fill silence and words that feed the soul. I know someone like that, brilliant but quiet, who dreads networking events. They stand there, smiling, trying to appear engaged while people talk about the weather or their weekend barbecue. You can see the struggle in their eyes. But then someone mentions a real challenge, a complex problem their company is facing. And suddenly, this person comes alive. They ask questions, share ideas, and offer thoughtful solutions. It's not that they can't do small talk. They just come fully alive when the conversation finally has meaning. Like we said before, it's not arrogance. Your brain simply comes alive only when there's something meaningful to process. Small talk isn't beneath you. It just operates below the threshold that activates your mind. What others mistake for pride or distance is often just a brain that needs complexity to function at full capacity. You are not a snob for finding small talk boring. Your mind simply requires depth that surface conversations can't provide. The need for substance in conversation isn't a flaw. It's a reflection of intelligence. And that same depth-driven nature often shows up in another, misunderstood habit, one that people judge harshly at first glance. Habit 5. Having a messy desk or disorganized space. Your desk might be covered in papers, books, coffee cups, and half-finished projects. To an outsider walking by, it looks like chaos. They might assume you're lazy, scattered, or unable to manage your surroundings. They might even offer to help you organize or suggest time management tips, believing your mess is proof you don't have your life together. But here's what they miss entirely. You're not disorganized. You're mentally prioritized. You're choosing to organize thoughts, not objects. Your mind is structured even when your desk is not. The mess isn't laziness. It's evidence that you're spending your mental energy where it truly matters, on thinking, creating, solving, and imagining, instead of maintaining appearances. For many highly intelligent people, a cluttered desk actually correlates with abstract and conceptual thinking. Your brain thrives on patterns and ideas, not neat rows of stationery. It doesn't require external order to function effectively, because its real workspace isn't the desk, it's the mind. The disorder that bothers others doesn't disturb you, because you don't operate in the physical world as much as in the mental one. Your creative energy flows through thought, not through tidiness. Einstein once said, "If a cluttered desk is a sign of a cluttered mind, what then is an empty desk a sign of?" That single line captures the truth perfectly. The Stoics, too, valued inner order over external perfection. They wrote endlessly about mental clarity, philosophical discipline, and aligning the mind with reason, but none of them equated that with spotless surroundings. Marcus Aurelius didn't worry about keeping his desk clean. He focused on keeping his mind calm, logical, and clear, because real discipline doesn't require a perfectly folded world. It requires a perfectly ordered mind. I know someone whose workspace looks like a paper explosion. Stacks of notes, scattered sketches, open books, half-finished drafts everywhere. Colleagues tease them about it constantly. But here's the irony. That same person produces some of the most creative and innovative solutions on the entire team. While others spend time arranging folders and labeling drawers, this person is arranging ideas. The mess isn't a lack of discipline, it's a deliberate choice about where to invest limited energy. They've chosen clarity of thought over cleanliness of space. The desk may be messy, but the mind behind it is precise. The disorder is external. The order is internal. What looks like disorganization from the outside is actually priorities aligned, a brain that values mental work over visual neatness. You're not disorganized for having a messy room. You're simply channeling your energy toward thought instead of surface perfection. Because where your attention goes, your creativity flows. And that leads us to another misunderstood trait. One that reveals intelligence not by how you think, but by when you do your best thinking. Habit 6. Staying up late or being a night owl. You do your clearest. Most creative thinking long after the world has gone quiet. From 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., when everyone else is asleep, your mind lights up. Calm, focused, free from distraction. But society tells you this is a bad habit. People say you're undisciplined, unhealthy, or wasting your mornings. They insist that successful people wake up early, that greatness happens before sunrise. Yet that's not necessarily true. Being a night owl doesn't mean you lack discipline. It means you understand your natural rhythm of peak performance, your brain doesn't follow the same schedule society has declared normal. Some minds are sharpest with the morning sun. Yours comes alive in the stillness of night. And that's not a flaw. That's self-awareness. Knowing when your mind performs best and aligning your work to that rhythm, not someone else's. Staying up late isn't about being lazy. It's about honoring the time when your mind performs at its highest level. Forcing yourself to think deeply or create during your mental low points, just because society expects productivity at certain hours, is actually less intelligent than aligning your work with your brain's natural rhythm. You are not staying up late out of indiscipline. You are working when your mind is most alive. Marcus Aurelius himself wrote meditations at different times, whenever his thoughts were sharpest. The Stoics understood that true wisdom means living in alignment with your nature, not forcing your nature to fit into arbitrary schedules. If your mind operates best at night, then struggling to appear disciplined by waking early isn't strength. It's self-sabotage. You're not working with yourself. You're working against yourself. I know a software developer who follows this principle perfectly. During the day, he handles routine tasks, meetings, and small fixes. But when night falls and the world goes quiet, he begins tackling the real challenges, the deep problem-solving work. Management used to question why he worked so late, assuming he was disorganized. But then they noticed something. Issues that took others 8 hours to debug during the day took him just 2 hours to solve at midnight. That wasn't poor time management. It was strategic use of peak mental performance. The truth is, every brain operates on its own schedule. Some minds are wired for the sunrise. Others come alive under the moonlight. Aligning your most demanding work with your peak mental window isn't laziness, it's intelligence. What society labels as lack of discipline is often just self-awareness, the understanding of when you truly think best. So no, you are not undisciplined for staying up late. You are simply respecting your brain's natural rhythm instead of forcing it into someone else's timeline. If these 6 habits are helping you see your weird behaviors as signs of high intelligence, not flaws, to fix, then make sure to subscribe and like this video. You'll not only validate how your mind works, but you'll also help others recognize their strange habits as hidden strengths. Because working when your mind peaks is smart. And knowing when your mind needs to rest is just as wise. That brings us to the next habit, one that people misunderstand more than any other. Remember habit 7, the one I mentioned earlier? Here it is. You might sit there, staring out the window for an hour before starting a task. You might appear lost in thought, doing absolutely nothing when there's work to be done. To others, it looks like procrastination. They think you're wasting time, avoiding responsibility, or overthinking instead of taking action. They tell you, just start. Stop waiting. Get moving. But here's what's really happening. You're not being lazy. You're thinking strategically. Your body may be still, but your mind is running simulations, testing ideas, visualizing the path ahead. You're organizing your approach, mentally mapping the entire structure of the problem before lifting a finger. This isn't procrastination, it's preparation. That hour you spend doing nothing is actually when the most important work is happening. The invisible cognitive work that makes execution faster, smoother, and more precise. You're front-loading the thinking so that the doing feels effortless. While others rush in without a plan, you're building a mental blueprint that allows you to finish in a fraction of the time. What looks like laziness is often the most productive part of your process. Seneca once wrote about productive idleness. He understood that the mind needs time to wander, to process, to breathe. To the Stoics, thoughtful preparation was far superior to rushed action. They knew that time spent thinking before acting often saves far more time than it costs. I know someone who perfectly embodies this. Before writing anything, they'll sit silently, sometimes for nearly an hour, just staring at a blank screen. To onlookers, it looks like avoidance. But when they finally start typing, the ideas pour out almost fully formed. They weren't avoiding the task. They were composing it mentally. By the time their fingers hit the keyboard, the structure was already complete in their mind. That single hour of inaction produces 20 minutes of extraordinary output. So the next time someone says you're lazy for staring off into space, remember this: your stillness is not inactivity, it's incubation. Your silence is not procrastination, it's preparation. And that's what truly intelligent minds do. They build the plan in silence before the world ever sees the result. That quiet moment of doing nothing isn't laziness. It's invisible work. It's the mental organization that happens before physical execution. What others see as idleness is, in truth, everything happening beneath the surface. You're not lazy for appearing still. You're simply processing strategically, preparing your mind so that when it's time to act, you move with precision. And that's something most people never understand. Now, this next habit also looks like a flaw, but it actually reveals one of the highest forms of intelligence: pattern recognition. Habit 8. Overthinking or analyzing everything. You analyze decisions from every possible angle. You replay scenarios, weigh outcomes, and imagine consequences long before they occur. You can't help but think deeply about people, choices, possibilities. And because of that, people often tell you the same thing: stop overthinking. Just decide already. You're making things too complicated. They say you're anxious, indecisive, or can't relax, that you'd be happier if you'd just go with your gut. But here's the truth. What they call overthinking is actually deep pattern recognition and consequence awareness. Your brain isn't trapped in analysis paralysis. It's running mental simulations, mapping outcomes, spotting potential problems, connecting causes and effects that others never even notice. You see what might go wrong before it happens. You think through not just the first consequence, but the second, third, and fourth, the ripple effects that most people ignore. That's not anxiety. That's thoroughness. And because of that depth, your decisions tend to be better. You avoid the pitfalls that others walk straight into because you already saw them coming. What looks like hesitation is actually foresight. What others call thinking too much is actually thinking at a depth most people never reach. The Stoics understood this long before modern psychology did. They practiced something called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. It meant deliberately thinking through what could go wrong, not to worry, but to prepare. Seneca wrote that those who foresee misfortunes are never truly shaken by them. They understood that visualizing challenges in advance wasn't fear, it was wisdom. When you think through every possible scenario, you're not overthinking. You're preparing properly. You're building mental armor for the future. I know someone like this. When faced with an important decision, they don't rush. While others decide in 5 minutes, they take days, sometimes weeks. Friends get frustrated, telling them to just pick one already. But here's what happens every single time. Their choice ends up being right. They saw the angle everyone else missed. They thought about the consequence that didn't show up until much later. While others scrambled to fix mistakes they didn't foresee, this person moved forward smoothly because they had already thought ahead. That extra time spent thinking wasn't wasted, it was invested. It prevented unnecessary errors and saved hours, even days, of fixing avoidable problems. What looked like overthinking was actually the most intelligent use of time. Analyzing before acting, considering before committing, and that's the pattern. The time you spend thinking saves far more time later on repairing what could have been prevented. You're not overthinking. You're simply thinking thoroughly, while others only think superficially. Deep analysis doesn't delay action, it sharpens it. It's the reason your path stays smooth while others trip over what they never saw coming. And that brings us to another misunderstood habit. One that isn't about how you think, but how your body moves while you think. A habit most people mistake for distraction or lack of focus. Habit 9. Needing to move or fidget while thinking. You pace while you're on the phone. You doodle in meetings. You tap your fingers, bounce your leg, or shift in your seat when processing complex ideas. You just can't sit perfectly still when your mind is in motion. People around you might sigh and say, "Can you please stop fidgeting?" Teachers and managers might scold you, saying it's distracting, unprofessional, or that you're not paying attention. But the truth is, you're not distracted at all. You're processing. Your mind and body are linked, and movement is how you think better. Your movement while thinking isn't distraction. It's how your brain functions best. What most people don't realize is that physical movement actually enhances cognitive processing. Your brain performs better when your body is engaged. This is known as kinesthetic thinking. For some people, stillness doesn't improve focus. It actually suppresses mental performance. That fidgeting, pacing, or doodling isn't a sign of restlessness. It's a tool, a way your brain processes information more efficiently. When you walk, your thoughts flow more clearly. When you doodle, you retain information better. When you move, your mind becomes sharper and faster. Forcing yourself to sit perfectly still doesn't strengthen your focus. It weakens it. Because you're fighting against your brain's natural optimization system. The ancient peripatetic philosophers knew this well. They walked while teaching, discussing, and exploring ideas. They understood that movement stimulates thought for many minds, and the Stoics agreed. They valued whatever method led to clearer, more rational thinking. If your mind works better in motion, then motion is not a distraction. It's optimization. I know a consultant who takes every phone call while walking. At first, colleagues thought it was rude, like he wasn't fully paying attention. But then they noticed something. During those walking calls, he delivered some of the sharpest insights they'd ever heard. The movement wasn't interrupting his focus, it was fueling it. His brain processed complex problems more effectively while moving than while sitting still in a conference room. What others saw as fidgeting or restlessness was actually the physical component of his thinking process. Mind and body working together. Movement creating the conditions for mental clarity. What looks like restlessness is, in truth, kinesthetic intelligence at work. You're not distracted when you move while thinking. You're optimizing the way your brain processes information. Movement enhances thought. It sharpens perception. It deepens clarity. And now we arrive at the final habit, a trait that reveals intelligence not through how you think, but through what you notice. Habit 10. Noticing small details. Others miss. You catch the tiny inconsistency in someone's story. You notice the typo everyone else skimmed past. You recognize a subtle pattern in data that others dismissed as noise. People call you nitpicky, obsessive, or unable to see the big picture. They say you focus too much on trivial things, that you create problems where there are none, that you're too critical or analytical. But in truth, this habit reveals advanced pattern recognition. Your brain doesn't just collect information, it cross-references it, checks for consistency, and searches for hidden connections others overlook. Those tiny details you notice aren't random. They're signals. A small inconsistency in someone's words shows something doesn't add up. A slight irregularity in data points to a deeper truth. A minor error in a report hints at a larger systemic issue. You're not nitpicky. You're seeing significance beneath the surface while others only notice what's obvious. This is how problems get caught early, how hidden patterns are discovered, how truth emerges from what everyone else ignored. Marcus Aurelius paid close attention to the smallest details in nature and human behavior. He believed that the small reveals the great. The Stoics valued observation and focus because they knew truth hides in details. I once heard of someone who spotted a tiny discrepancy in a financial report that everyone else had already approved. Colleagues were irritated. They thought he was nitpicking over meaningless numbers. But that single discrepancy exposed a major accounting error that could have cost the company a fortune. What looked like unnecessary perfectionism was actually pattern recognition in action, catching what mattered before it became a crisis. That small detail wasn't small at all. It was the visible piece of a much bigger picture. While others saw numbers that roughly added up, this person saw the one number that broke the pattern. And that attention to detail, the same one that annoys others, is the very thing that prevents disasters. You're not nitpicky for noticing details. You're recognizing patterns and meaning that others simply process right past. These 10 habits are not quirks to fix. They are markers of intelligence, signs of a mind that operates on a level most people don't even see. Talking to yourself, preferring solitude, questioning everything, needing depth in conversation, thriving in creative mess, working at your mental peak hours, taking time for invisible mental processing, analyzing thoroughly, moving while thinking, and noticing what others miss. Each of these habits might make you look strange, but in truth, they reveal complex mental patterns that create depth, clarity, and wisdom. The Stoics themselves were considered unusual in their time. Marcus Aurelius spent hours alone in reflection. Epictetus challenged beliefs everyone else accepted. Seneca chose solitude over popularity. They weren't trying to be different. They were simply thinking deeply in a shallow world. So if you recognize yourself in these habits, remember this. You are not weird. You are not broken. You are thinking at a depth most people never reach. The very habits that make you feel different are actually your greatest strengths. If these 10 habits helped you see your unique patterns as intelligence, not flaws, then subscribe and like this video, so others can realize their so-called weirdness is simply sophisticated thinking in disguise. Your weird is your wisdom. Embrace it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, stay stoic, stay thoughtful, and stay true to the way your mind works best.